Way too often, we are seeing people going on trips and doing something that's supposed to be fun and the ending in tragic. Most recently, the events that are currently taking place in Texas as a result of these floods. A group of children went to summer camp with a full expectation of enjoying their summer and probably doing something that each of them have done annually that has ended tragically simply because Mother Nature took a turn for the worse. And based on where they were and what was going on, there was no way to protect them from this natural disaster. And it got me to thinking about a course of several events that have transpired throughout the last couple of weeks that I honestly think in many ways could have been avoided had the people participating been more prepared for the tragedy and the incidents that could have possibly been eliminated. Now, these floods in Texas, nobody knows when it's going to rain. Nobody knows what the storm surge is going to be. It's all a part of living around the water and on the water. I am not at all saying that the tragic events that have occurred over the last couple of days in the state of Texas could have been avoided. Sometimes when you're dealing with Mother Nature and the weather and these unexpected storms, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Batten down and hope for the best. Much of like how we have to do here in Florida during hurricane season. Although they give us time to evacuate the areas and do those things and to get out of here, that can be very difficult as well. There are a lot of people that can't afford to go anywhere and they just have to hope for the best. And sometimes tragedy ensues. So we all know that there is absolutely nothing we can do to hinder Mother Nature when these things are happening. But there are a couple of events that have occurred that I believe if the people there had been more prepared or doing things that they were more trained to do, tragedy could have been avoided. There was Black Yacht Weekend in Chicago. Now, we all know that black people in yachts is not something that's common. And even though this new age group of young people are trying to normalize being on yachts and being out in the water and doing all those things, it's not a good idea. Most people that sail on yachts are maritime trained. They're not people that just up and decide, oh, I'm going to rent a yacht for the weekend, or I'm going to rent a boat for the weekend, and I'm going to go out and have a good time. There was a young lady who is an influencer, I believe here on TikTok and in other places, that got on that yacht, doing what young black women do, twerking, dancing, turning up, doing what they do. She slipped and fell off of that yacht, not wearing a life jacket, and drowned. Now, whoever owns that yacht, whoever rented that yacht, it should have been a requirement for everybody on that yacht to have on a life jacket, and maybe that could have been avoided. But when you aren't accustomed to the water, when you aren't accustomed to dealing with that level of movement on a big boat and the type of water that a big boat like that has to be in, if you slip and fall and you cannot swim, you can drown. And she did. She died. She is no longer with us because she went on Black Yacht Weekend in Chicago, hoping to have a good time, turning up with her friends, creating some content, and twerking and doing all those things, and boom, she's no longer with us. I live in Florida. I live right here on the Gulf Coast in Northwest Florida. There was a 10-year-old who was here visiting from Tennessee with her family that got swept up into the rip current on the beach in Destin, not even 50 miles from where I live, and she drowned, and her body has yet to be found. All because she came from Arkansas. She knew nothing about the Gulf of Mexico. Clearly her parents knew nothing about the Gulf of Mexico. It's my understanding that yellow and red flags were flying out there at the beach that was announcing the currents and that people should stay out of the water if they aren't good swimmers. Clearly her family was not aware of that, and boom, 10-year-old girl, life over, swept up by the ocean. And as of, very recently, her body had not been recovered. You cannot play with these large bodies of water. You cannot toy with Mother Nature. And I think if you're going to vacation in these areas, if you're going to do these types of things, you have to be prepared for what that brings. Like I said, most people that go out on yachts and they spend time on the yacht, they're maritime trained, or they have other people around them that are. And those that aren't would be smart enough to put on a life jacket. In all my years, I have lived in Florida all of my life. I have been a beach goer all of my life. I have never trusted the Gulf of Mexico. I have never trusted those waves. I have never trusted that water. I have seen people get bit by sharks. I have seen people drown. I have seen people get caught up in the current and nearly die. And I am petrified of it. And to come here from Arkansas with your family, thinking you're going to have a great vacation and have some good time, summer fun, and to have to go back home without your child, that's a tragedy that I just absolutely do not want to experience. And there are a few others. There's hikers that end up dying because they get lost and they get dehydrated or they have on the wrong gear. We love to go to Jamaica and jump on an ATV, tie up our hair, put our mask on and all this kind of stuff. And then we get to ripping and running on those dirt roads and flip that ATV. And then boom, your life is over because you ain't never been on an ATV in your life. You just decided you're going to live your best life in Jamaica and get on an ATV and rip and run. My advice to everyone is know the area that you're going. If you're on a yacht, in any place, the water has to be deep enough for the yacht to be in it. We're not talking a little fishing boat, we're talking a yacht. If you are going to the beach, get where there are lifeguards. Pay attention to the color of the flags that are flying. It could save you a ton of trouble. If you're going to hike, tune into the weather forecast. Have a good compass. Know where you're going. If you're going to jump on those ATVs, stop being wild and adventurous and doing stuff in these foreign countries where, if something happens to you, then, something just happens to you. My core message for this video is know before you go. Let's not be trying things. Let's not be going on adventure. Let's not go into these foreign countries being rowdy and doing things that may land us in a situation that we are unsure of. We need to honor Mother Nature. We need to be cognizant of all of the dangers that are going on when we are participating, in those events. My heart just breaks for that young lady that fell off that yacht. And probably 90% of the people that were on there with her could not swim. So nobody was diving in after her. And then that baby that got ripped up in that current. You can't fight the current. You have to know to just kind of go with it until it lets you go. And then you can swim back. But if you can't swim in the first place, that's not something you're going to need to do. So, season game. If you go to the beach, watch your grandkids. They get excited about that sand and that water, and they just don't understand how dangerous it is. Young people, if we're going to take these trips, if we're going to go on these yachts for the weekend, we're going to go on these boats, if we're going to go to Crab Island and swim with the sharks and all that kind of stuff, just know the dangers that are associated with those types of activities. And I'm not trying to scare you. This is not about fear. This is about having respect for Mother Nature and everything that comes along with it. We want to do things that are fun, and we don't want to be sorry for it. I am so grateful. I am back home safe and sound after returning from South Carolina for the graduation. I thank God for traveling graces. I thank God for good weather. I was watching people falling out there, in that heat. I'm watching people drive 100 miles an hour on the interstate, knowing it's a holiday weekend and the state troopers are on your ass the minute you go over a certain speed limit. We've got to slow down and pay attention to what's going on around us. Get to know your environment. Get to know nature. Make sure that you are following her rules and doing the things that are going to keep you safe. Living fully doesn't mean living reckless. It means taking steps to enjoy life so that you can keep making those memories. Before you plan your next adventure, take a few moments and familiarize yourself with all of the safety precautions that come along with what you're going to be doing. Don't take unnecessary chances. Don't let your fun-filled vacation turn into a moment of tragedy. My heart goes out to all of the people that drowned in these floods, most recently here in Texas. My prayers that they find everybody, and hopefully they can find some people that are still alive. At least 21 of the people that have been found deceased have been children. Somebody sent their kids on a camping trip, summer vacation trip, fully expecting to get their kids back home like they always do. And those babies are never coming home again because, Mother Nature struck and no one was prepared for it. That young lady that fell off of that yacht, she'll forever be missed, and her friends will not feel the same about boating on water. And that family that came to Florida to go to the beach had no clue that they would be returning home without their baby, maybe never to find her again, because the Gulf of Mexico is vast, it's huge, it goes on and on and on. There are currents, there are sharks, there's so many things that can go wrong, in that water. So if you're going to ATV, if you're going to hike, if you're going to hunt, if you're going to do anything out in nature, you need to respect her. She is a force to be reckoned with, and she can be your best friend when things are going well, and she can be your worst enemy when things aren't going well. So please, please, please be mindful of the dangers that can transpire when we are tiptoeing around in nature. So I'm going to ask you guys to drop me a comment. What is one thing that you wish you had known before taking a trip or doing an activity? Let's learn from each other and hopefully not turn our vacations or our fun times into tragic events. Now, make sure your notifications are turned on, you like the video, you subscribe to the channel. Until the next time, the Seasoned Lady is signing off. I hope my season gang had an absolutely fabulous 4th of July weekend. I also heard that there was a young man who is also an influencer with Adam 22 that got his fingers blown off dealing with some fireworks. We had a tremendous fireworks show in my mom's neighborhood too, and that's another one of those things. This time of year, New Year's, and whenever you're gonna be popping fireworks and doing fireworks like that, please be careful, please be mindful. Don't get close to those things, because again, a beautiful array of pyrometrics or whatever they used to call it, fireworks and all those things, that's meant to be fun, that's meant to be entertaining. It's not meant for you to be wounded for the rest of your life or for you to lose limbs. So come on, everybody. We want to enjoy this summertime, our vacations, our trips, our holidays, all of those things. But we got to be mindful when we do so. So until the next time, I'll chat with you soon. Toodles.